Shalom, everybody, and happy Chanukah. I was thinking this week about an interesting and troubling midrash about Yosef. We read at the beginning of this week's Torah reading that Yosef is finally let out of jail. The midrash tells us that 2 additional years were added to Yosef's jail sentence by God for what seems to be a lack of faith. The midrash reminds us that when the butler was being let out of jail after Yosef had successfully interpreted his dream, Yosef asks that the butler remember him to Paro, and says the midrash that because Yosef lacked faith, and instead of believing that God would get him out of jail, relied on the butler, 2 years of jail sentence were added. I find this midrash troubling because it seems to fly in the face of the very Jewish idea of hishtadlut, that we are supposed to do our very best to help ourselves. On the most basic level, when we are sick, we don't only pray, we pray and we see a doctor. And in all areas of life, we are expected to take matters into our own hands, to take action. We are not permitted to rely on miracles. So what is this midrash trying to teach us? I'd like to suggest an answer, which I heard from Emunah Carmel, one of our shlichot from Eretz Yisrael, in a discussion of this midrash. She points out that a close reading of the midrash answers the question. The midrash says that God said to Yosef, because you threw away, hishlachta, threw away faith in me, you are having these 2 additional years added to your jail sentence. It wasn't that Yosef believed in God and tried to take matters into his own hands. It seems that what the rabbis of the Midrash are trying to say is that at that point Yosef was completely relying on the butler and not relying on God at all. In that case, perhaps, Yosef HaTzadik, Yosef is in fact worthy of punishment. With this understanding, the Midrash makes much more sense and certainly makes me feel more comfortable. It's not that the Midrash is teaching us that when we are in troubled times, we are not permitted to try to help ourselves. But it's teaching us when we are in troubled times, we are not permitted to help ourselves and exclusively rely on human assistance. We must combine that with bitachon, with faith that God will also do his share. This, of course, is a very appropriate idea for Shabbat Chanukah as well. The 2 aspects of Chanukah, the battle and the miracle of the oil, are a way for us to combine both of these concepts. The battle was human initiative. We fought. We took the initiative to fight. Of course, God helped us in that battle, but we took matters into our own hands and rebelled against our oppressors. And then came the miracle of oil, which is completely absent, in many ways, of human endeavor. And so when the rabbis created the nature of Chanukah, they did so with both of these aspects. We remember the battle, the war that we fought, the war which was initiated by human beings, and the miracle of the oil, which was a God-centered miracle. This is what this midrash, this enigmatic and at first glance difficult midrash, is trying to teach us. It's trying to teach us that Yosef's sin in that case was that he only relied on the butler and didn't rely on God at all, and a balanced Jewish life requires both. Now, of course, we can apply this to our own lives when we are suffering, when we are going through difficult circumstances. But what about when others are suffering? What about when others are going through difficult times in life? Well, of course, the same thing applies. On one level, we should be praying for those of our family members, community members, friends, relatives who are sick. But there are also things that we can do, actions that we can take. While we may not be able to cure our friend's illness, we can certainly do things to help them avoid feelings of loneliness. We can certainly do things to assist and aid the family. Very practical things, like offering babysitting, offering trips to the supermarket. And in this vein, it's important to be specific. Not what can I do for you, but I'm going to the supermarket. What can I get for you? Or I'm going to the bakery. What can I get for you? Or I'd like to come over a little bit later today and pick up some of your children and take them over to my home for a play date, or take them out for ice cream. In this case, our hishtadlut can be of great assistance. It doesn't have to be a big item. Some things which are very practical and small and easy, things that we do anyway, can make a huge difference in the life of a family or an individual who is going through a difficult time. This, I believe, is the message of that midrash. This is the beautiful and uplifting message of Chanukah. Shabbat Shalom and Chanukah Sameach.